Мудрой книги человечества – Библии, о самых сложных проблемах, стоящих перед современным миром. Присылайте ваши вопросы заранее на наш email info@rusa.fm или во время передачи по СМС 347 460 08 77.
Добрый день всем, кто сейчас настроен на радио РУСА. В эфире передача Thank God It's Tuesday. Каждую неделю не устаю говорить Thank God It's Tuesday, потому что именно в этот час, в это время с нами проводят передачу самые светлые, самые мудрые, самые просто совершенно гениальный раввин, лучший раввин нашего времени, я абсолютно уверена в этом, раввин Рабби Маниса Фридман. И сегодняшний вопрос очень важный, как и все наши, на самом деле, темы нашей передачи. Но эта тема сейчас вообще у очень многих на устах, на умах. И вопрос, который недавно поставил такой журналист, которого зовут Мэтт Уолш, но на самом деле мы все задаем себе этот вопрос, это что такое женщина? И вот недавно на Твиттере, буквально меньше, чем неделю назад, вышел его такой типа документальный фильм, где он задает вопрос разным слоям населения, просто хочет простой ответ получить, что такое женщина. И, в принципе, очень рекомендую посмотреть вот этот документальный фильм, чтобы чуть-чуть больше проникнуть в то, в каком социальном мире мы сейчас живем и как мы отвечаем на этот вопрос. Вот. А как на этот вопрос ответит наш совершенно гениальный Рабби Фридман, вот это, как раз вот об этом мы сейчас и узнаем. Hello, Rabbi Friedman. Thank God it's Tuesday. And thank God we have you because, again, we need clarity in our lives. The question of today's show, which we have raised numerous times, and you have on your own channels and in your lectures everywhere, you're huge on this topic to identify what is a woman, exactly how women should be treated, what are the woman's needs. You have so many lectures and so many materials on this particular topic. But the reason why I want to raise it today is because less than a week ago on Twitter, a documentary came out. I think that documentary has already existed for a while, but it's just launched on Twitter. And there it got close to 200 million views in less than a week. And people are talking about it. And I got to tell you, I watched it actually twice because even though I thought I knew what the society feels and thinks, apparently not as deep as I thought I did. So that's why I kind of thought it was important to raise this topic right now. I'm sure everybody is going to be talking about it more and more and more. And the popularity of this topic is growing. So the question really is not just what is a woman, but why as a society today we have such hard time identifying what a woman is.
Who has a hard time? Who in our society has a hard time identifying a woman? I don't know. I think I saw the video. I saw the clip of the documentary, whatever it is, and it's hilarious. But it's got to be treated like a comedy, like a farce. To take it seriously is giving it a little too much power, a little too much legitimacy. What is a woman? Oh, come on. I'm not even going to entertain that question as a serious question. Everybody knows what a woman is. And to make it into a debate is like feeding into insanity.
Rabbi Friedman, but we don't want to address the biological aspect of what a woman is. It's now a more ideological. Not that I completely understand that term ideology, to be honest with you. Maybe you can explain that term first so we can get to the second portion of, what is the ideology of a woman in today's society.
Okay. Let's try instead to figure out how this happened.
Okay.
How did this insanity ever develop or take off? How come so many people are confused? Where did it begin? Who's responsible? How do these things happen? I think it happened with the romance that we developed with equality. Equality became such an idol, such a god in the American thinking, maybe everywhere in the West. Equality became everything. In the name of equality, the difference between man and woman was dismissed and replaced with egalitarian beliefs or thinking. Men and women are the same, there really is no difference. This is where it begins. What is this romance with equality? It's an immoral development because equality took the place, it replaced morality. Morality says that those who are strong may not take advantage of the weak. Those who are rich may not take advantage of the poor. Those who know may not take advantage of the ignorant. So morality says there's rich and poor, there is strong and weak, there are the knowers and the non-knowers. No equality. Nowhere in anything. Morality says you cannot use your advantage to another person's disadvantage. That's it. That is morality. The strong may not take advantage of the weak. They could. They'll be tempted to, but they may not. Even cruelty to animals. Cruelty to animals means, as a human being, you are much smarter than the animal, and you can find 100 ways to be cruel to an animal. Because you can do whatever you want. You have the advantage. Excuse me. You can imprison an animal, you can chain the animal, you can tease the animal, you can torture the animal. You can do whatever you want because you have a very distinct advantage. But you may not. It's immoral to be cruel to an animal. But when morality lost its power, popularity, conviction, when people decided that we're never going to be moral. I mean, throughout all of history, when were we moral? When did the powerful not take advantage of the weak? So we got to give up on that idea and instead make everyone equal. Because as soon as there is an inequality, there's going to be abuse. In other words, we don't trust morality anymore. So we're giving up on it, and we're going to replace it with this notion that we're all equal, so you can't take advantage, which is absolutely crazy. because we're obviously not equal. And besides, even if we were completely equal, who says we would be nice? If everyone had the same amount of money, we would be nice? Why? If no one was rich and no one was poor, we would be nice to each other? Probably not. Because either you're moral because morality is the truth, or you're not going to be moral whether you have a lot, a little, the same. So this whole idea of equality meant to be a substitute for morality has turned out to be a disaster. But the price that women are paying for this is horrible, terrible. Women's movements, the feminists, fighting for women's rights. What a mistake. You want equal pay? That's not women's rights. That's human rights. That's civil rights. People who are championing the black rights. Again, the same silly, it's not black rights. It's human rights. To be able to get a job, to be able to go to school, to be able to use the same toilet. It's human rights. If you want to talk about women's rights, you're talking about the right to be a woman, not the right to vote. The right to vote is not a woman. It's not male, it's not female. It's human. It's civil. So if women are not allowed to vote, well, there's a civil problem here, not a woman's problem. So what was supposed to be championing women turned out to be completely irrelevant to women, except that it confused everybody and made women think that they're more of a woman if they can run a company. You're not more of a woman. Has nothing to do with being a woman. And by the same token, the fact that you can run a huge corporation doesn't mean you're a man. Has nothing to do with gender. In the process, we forgot what a woman is. In other words, we forgot what a woman should be proud of. So if you want to talk women's pride,
that would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah. What are you proud of? You have gay pride. Have no idea what they're proud of. Well, what should women be proud of?
Rabbi Friedman, as a woman, I can say that it's being a mother. That is probably the biggest pride a woman can have. But there are women who can't be mothers for one reason or another.
That doesn't change the fact that being a mother is the greatest source of pride. And if you can't be a mother, you don't have that pride. I mean, that's sad. That doesn't change the fact. Exceptions to a rule does not cancel a rule. So yes, a woman's pride is in her ability to nurture a baby. Some women don't have that. That's the exception to the rule. But the rule remains. And it can be stated as a rule, as a general fact. Women make babies. You know why? Because nobody else does. So if you want to define something, anything, if you want to pinpoint, locate, what exactly is this? You have to find some feature, some characteristic that only this has. Otherwise, you haven't defined it.
Rabbi Friedman, no one is arguing biologically about what a woman is. People cannot identify what a woman is gender-wise, which I don't understand the difference anymore either.
Difference. That's why I'm talking about what to be proud of. We all know the biology. What should women be proud of? And we know who those women are. We can identify them. We can stop them in the street and say, excuse me, you're a woman. What are you proud of? In other words, what is it that a woman has that no one else has? If you can't identify that, then you don't know what a woman is. You can't say a woman is an intelligent being with kindness in the heart and loyalty. Every human being is a human being. Every human being has kindness in their heart. Every human being can be loyal. What's a woman? How many women are ashamed to say, I can make a baby? That is horrible. That's horrible.
Rabbi Friedman, in this documentary, it was the only place it was cut and dry was, I believe, in Nambia, when he traveled to a country where it's very simple. It's very cut and dry. Women give birth. That's it. End of story. Men don't.
And even in places that are still normal and sane and in touch with nature, we don't celebrate it enough. The ability to make a baby is mind-boggling awesome. Even taking it for granted is a crime against women. So really what happened, I think, is that everything became very politicized and sexualized. A woman is a sexual object. So is a man. An animal can be a sexual object. That's not a definition. When you sexualize and depersonalize. So the first thing that happened, and I'm not sure exactly when, the 60s, 50s, as a sexual being, having a uterus is a very undesirable complication. Right? The uterus ruined sex. In the good old days, you can't have sex, you're going to get pregnant. So you can't be promiscuous, you're going to get pregnant, or you get a disease. But the pregnancy was the big issue. You know, mothers would tell their teenage daughters, do whatever you want, just don't get pregnant. Well, thank you very much. You can't do anything you want and not get pregnant. So the uterus became a problem. The uterus ruins everything. How great would it be if women didn't have uteruses? Then we could do whatever we want. We wouldn't have to be careful. We wouldn't have to think twice. We would have free love. So the uterus became a curse. I think statistically, this is true. Women have uteruses. Men don't. We'll have to fact check that, but I think it's true. So, if you hate the uterus, well, guess what? You hate women. Sure, you wish women would come without uteruses. Yeah, but they come with uteruses, and you hate the uterus. So really, you hate the woman. You wish you could redesign a different kind of woman. This is criminal.
Rabbi Fridman, I understand that this is what got us here, but now that we're here, and now we have a society who is trying to change that aspect into some other, I don't want to say weird aspect. It's weird for me, but maybe it's not weird for others. So where there is a perception that a person can be trapped, a woman can be trapped in a man's body, a man can be trapped in a woman's body. We feel a certain way about ourselves. The science, the technology is allowing us to make those differences. Exactly, we identify as women. I mean, the men that want to go through the change, they identify as women. Yet when they're asked, what does it mean to identify as a woman? No one can pretty much answer that question. Now, when a woman is asked, can a man give birth? A woman bluntly says, if she is a transgender man, yes, a man can give birth. And because this is, I mean, we're in this, it's mind-boggling that some people think that gender is assigned by doctors at birth. So there's so much going on, and unfortunately, it's comical as far as just saying it out loud, but then it doesn't come without consequences, because now there's a whole tremendous medical industry that capitalizes on it. Children are involved. They are the experiments. They are the victims of this big inhuman experiment of mutilation. I mean, again, this would be my perception of it. Not necessarily people agree with what I'm saying or what Matt Walsh was trying to portray in his documentary, but there are so many things going on that are not without consequences for us right now, and even worse if they keep on going down the line for humanity. So this is the big concern and the big question. Not even how we got here, but where do we go from here? How do we fix this aspect of our life? Of course, for those who think that it needs fixing, then there's a big portion of people who thinks we're fine and this is progress, which is another weirdness.
So that's why getting into the debate about these things is not a healthy response. Well, maybe they're right. No. They not only they're not right, they're not saying anything that could be right. They're saying nothing except, oh, you might confused. How do you argue with that? No, you're not confused? Yes, you're confused. So that's why the only way to maintain sanity is to focus on sanity, not to argue with insanity. It doesn't work. It's not going to help. It only increases the debate. What is sanity? Sanity means the uterus is the most amazing creation in the entire universe. And if you don't think that, then you're not thinking straight. Beyond awesome. Because without the uterus, there is nothing. It's like without water, earth wouldn't be earth. Without a uterus, earth wouldn't be worth anything, because in the 60s people were saying there is more to a woman than making babies. Sounds nice, sounds legitimate. It's absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. There is nothing more to a woman than the ability to make babies. There are other things, but that's not more. Nothing is more than that. Because I asked this woman, she says, there's more to a woman than making babies. I said, for example, she says a woman can be a doctor. I said, to treat whom? Somebody's baby. No baby, no doctors. No baby, no lawyers. No baby, no firemen, no policemen, no teachers, no principals, nothing. Nothing. The uterus is the universe. Without it, there is nothing. So what's more than being a mother? The doctor who takes care of the mother's baby? To undermine that, to not be in awe of that, means you're not in awe of life. You're not in awe of life? Okay, there goes your life. It's going to deteriorate. It's going to get warped. It's going to get distorted. You're going to be crazy. Predictable.
Rabbi Fridman, do young children understand gender as and if yes, as early as what age? Do they understand who they are, who they're born as?
I'm not sure what there is to understand. They are absolutely comfortable with themselves until you make them crazy. And if a little boy says, I want to be a mommy, that's cute. Doesn't mean he doesn't want to be a boy. It's fantasy. It's kids' imagination. It doesn't mean chop him up. That's so crazy.
I know.
Let's not even talk about that.
Okay.
There's another expression in the 60s. A woman is not a baby-making machine. Think again. But not only is a woman a baby-making machine, a woman is the only baby-making machine in the world. You don't like the word machine? Okay, I agree. It's a little coarse. More than a machine. A machine doesn't have an opinion. The machine that produces things doesn't love what it produces. A woman loves what she produces. But if you want to describe or define a woman, I think the best way, a woman is a baby maker. That doesn't excite you? Well, you're out of your mind. If making a baby doesn't excite you, then nothing else is exciting. You know, there's a clip talking about craziness. There's a clip of a woman. She says, I sued my parents for having me because they gave birth to me without consulting me. And yet, I have children. And people are asking, is that not hypocritical of me? My children are adopted. I didn't give birth to them. So I'm just being nice to them. But I would not give birth to children because that's unfair, it's not right, you don't have their consent. So if you're pregnant, either talk to a spiritual medium and find out if your baby agrees to being born, or have an abortion. Yeah.
Rabbi Friedman, if you don't mind, we are in this Pride Month, which whatever it is, and of course, this Pride Month, for some reason, is more and more targeted towards children. Okay, it's in schools. We have rainbows everywhere. It's in Disney. It's in cereals. It's everywhere, and it's the whole thing is targeted towards letting children know that gender identity is fluid. Anything goes, everything is acceptable, whoever you are, whoever you want to be, starting from very young age. I'm sorry I'm talking about it, but it really is a huge concern for anybody who's a parent and who is sane. And this is happening everywhere. Big or small, it's happening everywhere. And then this leads to everything that we've just spoken about, this confusion. So it starts very early on. It starts in schools. It starts with the companies, media, education, and this aspect, which is, yes, it is gender grooming, but it's getting bigger and bigger and more acceptable in some circles. Other circles, it's actually getting more opposite reaction, and parents, the more they understand, they're appalled. But by now, I think the majority of normal parents should have gotten up and spoke about it loudly and clearly. But this is not happening. Why? Where is this going, Rabbi Friedman? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I see you're familiar with their whole vocabulary.
We have no choice these days.
They make up their own language. They make up their own facts. They make up their own... Bottom line, it's an anti-life movement. The whole thing. The gender thing, the being born without consent thing, the abortion rights, it's all anti-life. Who's behind this anti-life? And is it accidental that it turns out to be anti-life, or is it intentional? Are there people who literally, truly want to see no more births? Is that even possible, that there are such people? Because look at it. It all leads to the same conclusion. Don't make babies. Don't be able to make babies. So it's not true that there's some people who believe that men can have babies. They are interested in making sure that nobody has babies. They're not fooling anybody. By saying men can have babies, you're basically saying no more babies. The whole thing is a joke. So women should lose their ability to make babies. Men should make believe they make babies. What are you doing? You're cutting off life itself. And after the first week, don't tell me you don't realize that that's what you're doing. It's anti-life. I don't know why this is happening at this particular stage in history when life is so infinitely better than it ever was. Now you're turning against life? Anyway, so are we basically saying that we had gotten into a callous, jaded attitude towards life, which allowed people who are anti-life to become popular in their crazy thinking? The solution is we got to start celebrating life. A woman who gives birth to a child is an absolute hero and should be treated that way. You have 2 children, you're an angel. You have 3 children, you're a goddess. Yeah, I don't know. We used to respect women.
Rabbi Friedman, when you say they are against life, who do we mean by they? We keep on saying in every aspect of everything that doesn't make sense, that it brings craziness into our life, we say they are responsible. Who exactly are they?
We don't really know, do we? And also, we don't want to know. We don't want to make it a campaign against someone. Doesn't matter who it is. This thinking is evil. If it's intentional, then there's some pretty evil people behind it. And those who know better but go along with it, they are the they.
Okay.
It's like, you know who you are. So anyone who promotes it, anyone who goes along with it, they're joining ranks with an anti-life movement or philosophy. Who started the philosophy? I don't really care. Because even if you kill that individual, the idea is, the horse is out of the barn.
Right.
So we must go back to celebrating life. If you celebrate life, you celebrate women. If you celebrate women, you celebrate the womb. If you don't, you're anti-life. I mean, it's very significant that Adam names his wife Chava, mother of all life. No one has given women a bigger compliment since, because there can be no bigger compliment. And to dismiss that, to turn that into a curse, you got to be really evil.
Rabbi Friedman, so just to sum up pretty much what we've been saying, the only way to put the horse back into the barn, let's use that terminology, is to stay strong and true to the core moral values and basically be strong in what you know is true.
And celebrate the barn until it becomes so irresistible that the horse will voluntarily go back into the barn. And it's not going to be hard, because the anti-life people have nothing to celebrate. That pride is sheer desperation. You know you have nothing to be proud of. Who are you trying to kid? You're trying to convince yourself? Somebody said, it's not a big accomplishment to convince someone who's already confused.
Rabbi Friedman, I keep going back to just one thing. Our life is our perception. We learned that in the Tanya. And these people, they're perceiving life in a certain way. And that became their reality. Can that somehow be undone for them? Not for those who still understand right from wrong and have moral compass, but about those who got caught up in this whirlpool and have a certain perception of life and are very strong in their beliefs. Is there hope for them?
I wouldn't say they're strong in their beliefs. They're desperate in their beliefs. As the documentary showed. Anyone you ask, so what is a woman? That's not a belief. That's a desperation. And it's not even an attitude towards life for most people. It's not their philosophy of life or what they think of life. They're not thinking of anything but themselves. That's not even life. It's almost like they don't care what life is. They really don't care what life is. Life is not important. I'm important. Listen to the language. If a woman identifies as a man, she's a man. What does that mean? What are you saying? You don't really think she's a man. You don't really think she's a man. You think that a woman has the right to think of herself as a man. You don't think she's a man.
Rabbi Friedman, but the scariest part is that they're realizing their perception and through children. So this is the tool that they're using to justify their positions in life, and the children are the victims of this because really they cannot choose for themselves at a young age.
But this is exactly the problem. I want. That's all there is. That's all there is. I want, and I can have what I want. And now they're applying it to children. The boy said he wants to be a girl. Is it good for him? That's not even a question. The question is, does he want? And if he wants, he shouldn't even have to ask his parents. This is how drunk we are on the ego, on the self, not on life, not on right and wrong, not even on rights. We're not talking about human rights. No child has a right to damage himself, but he wants to, and that's the end of the conversation. Is that narcissism on steroids?
Big time.
So it's hard to say their opinion. It's not an opinion. It's narcissism gone wild. But she wants to be called they, them, something. Yeah, but it's not correct. When did that become an issue? Correct, not correct. She wants. I want. It's a disease. It is a disease. Narcissism is classified as a disease. And this is pure narcissism. Narcissism means what I want, even if it kills me. That's narcissism. Which means my want is bigger and more important than life. So, for all practical purposes, it's an anti-life movement.
Rabbi Friedman, I think today we spoke about the most painful topic of our times, really. I mean, it just comes right now in so many different shapes and forms. And of course, the worst part is when it comes and it harms children. That's when it becomes the most painful. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for the clarity that, you know, that you do every week. It's amazing, and it's priceless. So thank you so much for giving us the proper focus of where we need to be, why things are happening the way they're happening, and sort of the antidote to this insanity.
Let me share with you an amazing example of it.
Sure.
There was an Israeli official who was visiting with the Rebbe, and he said to the Rebbe, he was in the opposition of the government, and he said to the Rebbe, one of the complaints he has to the Israeli government is that they subsidize every Arab child born in Israel. They're the enemy. Why are we subsidizing their babies? He thought the Rebbe would agree, of course. The Rebbe said, no. Having a baby is a mitzvah, and when they're doing a mitzvah, we support them. That baby may grow up to be a terrorist. We'll deal with that later. Right now, they're doing a mitzvah. We support life. This is amazing. A woman gave birth. I don't care what she believes. I don't care where she stands. She gave birth and gave life. She deserves support. She deserves to be celebrated. That is right. That is good. That is life. That is holy. You don't undermine that. You don't underestimate that. You don't talk down about it. It's everything. It's everything.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Rabbi Friedman. This is amazing. I hope this is what people are this main aspect of today's conversation is to celebrate life, to think about life, to live a life. I hope that everybody takes this message away from today's program and
be in awe of those who make life.
Great advice. Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's amazing always, and thank you for everything you do for humanity today and every day, every second of your day. It's amazing. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
In the name of all the babies.
Thank you. Thank you so much. И всем, конечно, кто нас сегодня слушал, пожалуйста, это были золотые слова раввина Маниса Фридмана. И его можно больше услышать, увидеть на его YouTube-канале itsgoodtoknow.org. Много-много книг его на Амазоне, которые несут вот этот свет, добро, позитивность, мудрость. Пожалуйста, принимайте в себя и дарите другим. И держитесь в наше непростое время. Вот с этими словами я, Аня Пегерман, и передача Thank God It's Tuesday прощается со всеми.